All right, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar, how to make your goals, how to make achieving your goals into a habit. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Steve OWBRIDGE. I'm an executive vice president of a company called Genisar, a financial education company. And how we kind of came to do this webinar is that we do a seminar kind of up in London called Change Your Financial Life. And there's a couple of slides in, or 3 slides in there, which we always touch on about achieving your goals and some of the things we're going to cover tonight. And I often get asked, well, when are you going to teach us the rest of that? We only get a couple of minutes and some key points. When are we going to get the rest? And so I kind of thought, well, I would kind of do it through this medium. So today, I'm going to kind of just expand on some of those. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you don't know at all. But really, goal setting is just something I'm very, very passionate about. Goal setting, goal achieving, because it's really a huge life skill. So no matter what your business is, no matter what your kind of position in life or where you are in employment or in a business or, just in kind of your day-to-day thing, goal setting is such a key fundamental skill, and it surprises me that we don't know more about it. You kind of get a lot of the academic side of goal setting when you kind of, well, I won't say in school because probably not in school, but courses and stuff you might do through employers and so on. But really, there's so much more to it than that. But before I kind of do that, I just kind of want to, if it's okay, just kind of share my own story. I was this kind of money expert 10 years ago. When I say I was a money expert, I mean I was an expert at spending money. I was so good at spending money, I didn't spend my own money. I used to spend Visa and MasterCard's money and got into huge debt. In fact, about £95,000 of debt about 10 years ago. So I think you'd agree, I was an expert at spending money. Don't get me wrong, I had a great time accumulating that debt. In fact, I accumulated £95,000 of personal debt. So I think, let me see a hand raise if you agree that I was an expert at spending money. Yep, I think we'd all agree that. That's great. Yep, I was awesome. Now, the problem is, I spent all this money and then, I found out that they actually wanted me to pay it back at some point. And so all that happened then is I got into more difficulty. Long story short, it got difficult and tough for me. Found the business that I'm in now, started to learn the principles we teach. And, of course, knowledge is power, but it's the application of knowledge that's the power, as I always say. And again, it's the same today. You can learn some things today, but if you don't actually go and apply any of it, I promise you it doesn't work. Okay? So, really this is hopefully it's going to be a bit of education for you. It's going to be a kickstart to hopefully motivate you to go and take the action you need to do to actually achieve the goals and dreams that you have in your life. That's kind of my mission for today. Long story short, got involved in the business. A few short years later, I became completely debt-free and kind of stayed that way ever since. And throughout this kind of journey of going from, no money to a great income, to a great lifestyle, to nice car, nice house, and all that kind of stuff, I'm very blessed. I have a pretty awesome life now with lots of time freedom and financial freedom, and I just kind of get to spend my time doing the things that I love. And it's funny. Somebody asked me recently. They said, "Oh, how hard do you work? You must work really hard." And I said, "Well, honestly, I don't really feel like I work at all. I just kind of get to do what I want to do and enjoy it." And so, for many people, they're motivated by money. I'm not really a money-driven person. So, if you're earning enough money to pay your bills, to give you the lifestyle that's comfortable, it's got to be something else that gets you out of bed in the morning. And so for me, it's all about achieving goals, whether that be personal goals, whether it be family goals. And again, I'll kind of touch on the kind of goals a bit later on. So, okay, so let's jump kind of right into this. So I know we kind of got 36 or so people on now. So one of the key things about achieving a goal is, first of all, you've got to understand that achieving goals is a system. A lot of people will tell you things like, You know, you got to have a SMART goal. You know, I'm sure you've all heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and within a time frame. And that's great. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's a good kind of starting point for goals. One of the key things, though, is even before that, you've got to kind of figure out what it is you actually want. See, a lot of people, I have this conversation often, and I sort of ask people what their goals are. And you know, they got a very wishy-washy kind of blurred idea about what it is they actually want to achieve. For example, I remember I asked a lady about her goal, and she said, "My goal, Steve, is fantastic. I'm going to build an orphanage." And I said, "Wow, that's great. You know, that's a great goal. Well, where's it going to be?" You know, and she said, "Oh, Africa somewhere." I said, "Right, okay. Well, you know, Africa's a really big place. You kind of might want to narrow it down to a country at least, or you know, maybe a city or a town." I said, "Well, how many kids is it going to be for?" And she said, "Oh, I'm not really sure." I said, "Well, how much money is it going to cost to build?" And she said, "Oh, I'm not really sure." I said, "I'm sorry, that's not a goal. That's a wishy-washy pipe dream that makes you feel good about yourself. You know, I'm going to build an orphanage." Well, no, you're not. Because if you don't know what it's going to take to build an orphanage, you're not going to do it. It's a great starting point, but it's more. There's got to be more than that. You know, I ask people things like, "Well, you know, how bad do you want it? I mean, what if you couldn't achieve that goal? How would you be?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, if I don't achieve it, it's all right." So in fact, I want to kind of challenge you guys now. Let me ask you this question, you know, and again, you don't have to necessarily write this down or hands up or anything like that. I'm guessing most of you on here have goals. And so I want you to just think about one of those goals now. Just have a think, get that goal in your mind, put a picture in there, and just ask yourself, doing what I'm doing right now, first of all, how achievable is that goal? Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is, if I don't achieve this goal within the time frame that I've got, if you've even got a time frame, how am I going to feel about it? And in fact, I tell you what, yeah, let's type some words in. So if you don't achieve the goal that you've got within the time frame that you want, if you even have a time frame, I want you to put a word to describe how you would feel about that if you didn't achieve it. Okay, so just go ahead and put that in kind of while I'm talking. You know, you chat to everyone. Gutted, great word. Joy. You know, these words I get all the time: gutted, shameful, you know, devastated, depressed. I mean, these are all kind of normal words that we get, right? And so we know that by not achieving our goals, we feel angry, we feel frustrated, we feel disappointed by not achieving goals. So why don't more people then take the time out to actually understand the fundamentals of how you can actually achieve goals on a regular basis? If it's something that has such an impact on us, failing to achieve goals, why don't we do more to find out? And you guys are the ones that decided that you were. We had like 70 people registered and we got kind of 40 on now. So, you know, some people, they said, my goal was to get on a webinar, and then something took their attention and they didn't make it. You know, you're the ones that did make it. So that's awesome. Awesome. What about, let's say you did manage to achieve those goals within those time frames, if you even have one. You know, how would you feel about that? Just again, type a word to describe how you'd feel about it. How would it be? Elated. Great word, Sam. Good to see you, Sam Lee. Relieved, elated, proud, happy, ecstatic, over the moon, run around naked, shouting in the streets because you're really happy. You're just over the moon about it. Amazing, awesome, right? So you will feel incredible. So again, if it has that impact on you, why don't we spend more time figuring out how to do it? If it's a system, why don't we go out and master the system? And, you know, I remember I was reading a book, and again, highly recommend this book. I don't sell it, so don't ask me, but it's called The Wisdom of Andrew Carnegie as Told by Napoleon Hill. It's just an interview with this guy, Andrew Carnegie, who's the richest man in the world. And he said this key phrase. He said, the first step from poverty to riches is the most difficult. And I'm a kind of a logical guy. So I said, well, if the first step is the most difficult, if I can master the first step, because already I was thinking about how do I master goal setting, right? Or goal achieving. What's the most difficult? He said the first step from poverty to riches is the most difficult. He said it begins in the form of what he calls a clear, concise mental picture of the thing that one seeks. So a CCMP, as we'll call it, okay? A clear, concise mental picture. So we've all kind of got goals, right? But have we got a CCMP? And I think there's a real distinct difference. And there's some things you can do to kind of figure out if the goal you've got is a CCMP. There are some clues, okay? So one of the clues is, is it specific, okay? And we SMART is a good place to start. Is it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and with a time frame? But is it really specific? Ask yourself, is it stretchingly realistic? So realistic is great, but stretchingly realistic is better. Something that is really realistic, you can achieve without too much effort. Well, maybe you've got to think about bigger goals, okay? It's easy to say, I always achieve my goals because my goal is getting up in the morning. That's a pretty easy goal. As long as you're fit and healthy, shouldn't have any problem with that. Having said that, getting up at a certain time may be a challenge for some people. But so you've got to figure out what it is that you actually want. And I always love the quote by Mark Twain, I think it was, that said, I can teach anybody how to get what they want in life, but the problem is I can't find anybody who can tell me what they want. And so the first thing is to figure out what it is you actually want. And again, this is something that people struggle with. I often ask people their goals, and I say, so what's your goal? And they'll say, oh, I want to own my own business. And I say, that's great. Why is that? And they say, well, so I can make more money. Great. What's the money for? Well, so I can have a nicer lifestyle. Okay, what does that look like? Well, a nice car, nice house. What kind of house? Where? Is it a new house? Is it an old house? Where in the country is it? What kind of car? Sports car, convertible, cheap. What is it? How much does it cost? And then they go, well, I haven't really thought that far. Well, you've got to get specific. You can't say, I really want a, Mercedes, 220 diesel coupe with brown leather interior. You've got to get specific. You can't just say, oh, I want a Mercedes. You've got to get, more specific than that. So first of all, specific, then stretchingly realistic. The other thing is, and this is a real key, okay, is it's got to be emotionally engaging, all right? And so before we kind of go any further, I want to kind of use my whiteboard. It kind of seems silly. I got it here. I won't use it, right? So there's kind of three key, I don't want to call them strategies. I guess they're components to achieving your goals. And they're all interlinked. So it's kind of like, if you've got kind of machines with cogs on them like this, I guess you all know what cogs are. Let's do it like this. By the way, I'm just showing that you can be successful and not be able to draw. So I think I'm proving that really well. So, you kind of got cogs and these cogs are all kind of like this, and then got another one there. And so these are cogs, right? Let me see a hand raise if you all know what I mean by cogs. I guess you'll get what I'm saying. All right. So you've got these cogs. This is like your goal-getting machine, okay? We'll call it a goal-getting machine. And so there's these three kind of key components. The first component is you've got this CCMP, this clear, concise mental picture. That's the first component. Again, I'll tell you what to do with that in a minute, but let me just quickly go through the other components. The second thing you need, once you kind of figured out what you want, you got really specific about it, the next thing is you need a plan or a strategy. I'm going to write plan because it's easier to fit in the box, but I say strategy, but a plan or a strategy. You've got the what, now you need the how, okay? And then the next thing, of course, and this is the key, if you don't have this thing, these other things don't matter, okay? And this is the key. In fact, that is so important. I'm going to write it in red, okay? And it is desire. You need to have desire, and not just any old desire, but you need to have something called a burning desire. You need something that consumes you, okay? Successful people, they're consumed by their vision. They're consumed by their goals. And it's okay to be like that. And, you know, we teach another lesson on how to have a balanced life. But there are times in your life when you need to be unbalanced in order to have balance later. So again, that's another webinar. I guess I can do that one another time if that's of any interest to anybody. But so you've got these 3 areas: CCMP, plan, desire. Okay. Now, if you don't do one of these, okay, if one of these is not in the picture, well, what happens to these other cogs, right? What happens to them? They just keep spinning and they don't drive anything, right? They don't drive things. So you have to have all parts of or components of the machine working. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let me say yes if that's all making sense to everyone, because I don't want to see, you know, how to use the yes button. All right, hand raise is good enough, Vicky. Good. All right, so these are the 3 kind of components. So let's kind of go back to this CCMP thing, right? So you've decided you know what you want. You got really specific about it, okay? And the next step for you is, in fact, let me kind of okay. The next step is you've got to write it down. You have to write it down. I mean, I got to say, I teach this all the time, and it amazes me how many people can't pick up a pen and write their goal down. In fact, what I do is I write like a goal statement. So, you know, I get very specific and I put it in the form of a statement, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I make it so it's very easy to read and rolls off the tongue easily. So it's not statistics, basically, right? So you're going to write it down. Now, it's important to do this because writing your goal down, okay, and this is kind of how Andrew Carnegie put it, and we can put it all different ways, but I just kind of like this way. Writing your goal down fixes that kind of goal in your conscious mind, okay, so that your subconscious can act upon it, all right? So think about it. You writing your goal down forces you to be specific, okay? And then the next thing you do is you read it, and that's the next bit. I just jumped ahead. So write it down as the next thing, or the next part is that you read it, and read it 2 times a day. You read your goal twice a day, because reading it out, there's some real power in this. Okay, now I hope you really get this, because this had a massive impact in my personal life and my goal-getting life. It really did. You see, I was pretty good at figuring out what I liked, and I liked doing the research, because the great thing is when you want to figure out your goal, you got things like Google. You can Google anything now, you know. You can get real insight into anything. You can find out how much stuff costs, where you buy it, how quickly you can get it, what colors it comes in. You can really dig down. Like, you know, we're looking at building a house. So we're looking at kind of, okay, a Huff house, and then we're doing more research and finding out that there's these other houses, and there's Swedish building companies that do this. And so now we broadened our horizons. Now we got more information, and now our next goal is, okay, now we're going to narrow it down to get it more specific, to figure out exactly what kind of design and stuff we want. So first thing we got to do is you got to get your goal, do your research, then you got to write it down. Then you have to read it. And this is key, and this is why. See, oh, by the way, don't just read it twice a day. You have to read it out loud twice a day. Now, I kind of struggled with that, because I thought, well, I feel kind of stupid reading my goal out loud, right? That just seems a bit stupid to me. No one's here, no one's listening, but I just feel dumb. You know, like maybe you've done this where you're watching a program, a TV program or a film on your own, and you laugh out loud at it, and then you kind of feel silly because you're the only one laughing and there's no one there. Well, it's kind of like that. And you know, when you read your goals, though, there is someone there. It's you. And there's this saying that faith or belief comes by hearing. Okay, and we all know this, that we program our mindset by the things we see, the things we hear. Okay, and so when you are reading your goal, first of all, there's a couple of reasons where you read it out loud. The first reason is that when you read inside your brain, right? When you read without reading out loud, you tend to skim read. Okay, so you may miss some important parts of that paragraph, for example. So that's the first thing. When you read out loud, you read every single word. So first of all, you're getting more accurate, more information. The second thing is that faith comes by hearing. So when you speak it out, you get to hear it. Okay. So that means twice a day, you are talking your goal out loud and how you're going to achieve your goal. And what happens is you start to believe it. Now, you know, I did this with my team at the beginning of this year. And I just said, first of all, I said to them, hey, don't worry about the team goals. This year is all about your personal goals. And so my role is I'm just going to focus on helping you achieve your goal. Don't worry about our team goal. Don't worry about company goals. Just think about your goal and tell me what it is, and I'll help you get it. That's kind of my thing, right? So, so basically what I did, but before you do that, I'm going to just tell you what my personal goal is. So what I did is I kind of stood up on the whiteboard, and I wrote down, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Now, when I wrote that down, it was kind of stretchingly realistic. I mean, probably more stretching than realistic in my mind at that point. So what happened is I wrote this goal down, and I started thinking, Steve, you idiot. Why are you writing such big goals down on the board? Don't you know that this is now public and everyone can see what you've written? And if you don't hit this, you're going to look like an idiot. You're going to lose all credibility with your team if you don't hit these goals. And as I'm writing, I'm thinking, oh, Steve, why did you do this? You idiot. You know? And so that's the battle that goes on in my mind. The other part of me is going, no, Steve, you can do this. So you've got this battle. So when you're looking at goals, you're going to have these battles going in your mind. Now, the interesting thing is, then what I started doing, because I was teaching something along these lines, I started saying, so you got to speak your goals out all the time. And then I had like this little rule within the team that if anybody phoned me, the first question I was going to ask them is, before you ask me a question, just tell me what those goals are. What are your goals? Because my goals are da-da-da-da-da. Tell me what your goals are. And it was kind of a rule that they had to tell me their goals. And now I didn't need to hear their goals. I had their goals written down, but I wanted them to hear it just in case they didn't hear it in the morning, right? So I started saying it. So in that kind of 2-week period, 3-week period, 4-week period, whatever it was, you know, I must have said those goals out loud hundreds of times. And the interesting thing is, as you say these things out, you're hearing them all the time. And so you start to get this mindset shift. And I promise you, if you try this, this works, okay? So I started to reprogram my mind. So now I started looking at those goals on my whiteboard, and I was thinking, well, maybe they're not too unrealistic. I mean, I probably could achieve those. And then a little bit later, another week goes by, and I'm hearing it and hearing it. Now I'm thinking, do you know what? These are really achievable goals, you know. I reckon I can really do this. And after a bit longer, man, I'm going to do these goals. So what happens is it's you don't just do it once or twice. It has to become a habit. Your habits, in fact, your daily habits determine your success. So you've got to have these daily habits of reading your goals out loud. And I promise you, it makes a difference. So, because I kind of got loads I can tell you about that, but I've just got loads to get through. So I think I need to do longer webinars or something. But okay, so you read it out twice a day. And again, as I said before, it's because when you read it out loud, you hear it. And that the hearing of that goal, or that purpose, as Andrew Carnegie calls it, the goal, it fixes that goal in your conscious mind. And that means your subconscious kind of goes to work on it, because your conscious mind is like the master, the subconscious is like the servant. Your conscious mind controls everything, right? So, and again, let me kind of give you an example of what I mean. So okay, let me ask you this. So have you been in a situation where maybe you wanted to get a car, right? So you kind of did a bit of research and you wanted a BMW convertible. So you started looking at BMW brochures, and you went to the showroom, and you maybe went on YouTube and looked at some videos, and you kind of started looking at BMWs, and you think, yeah, I really love to get one of those, which is great. And then what happens is, it's like your subconscious goes to work on trying to seek out BMWs, right? And then what you notice is you notice that one of your neighbors has got that kind of car, another BMW convertible. And you kind of go to your neighbor, hey, yeah, you got a BMW convertible. He goes, yeah, I've had it for 4 years. And you're like, really? I never noticed it. Because what happens is suddenly you get tuned in, and you're driving along the road. You start to notice BMW convertibles, and then you think, gosh, these are common. Why do I want one of these? But does anybody? Let me see a hand raise if you've experienced anything like that or something similar. You know, you got your, it's like you get tuned into stuff, you know. And I think that works in many areas, but certainly with goals, I find it really works. So you've written it down. So that's the beginning of your next project. See, the next thing you've got to do is you've got to create an advertising campaign to yourself. Now, would you agree that advertising works? Yes or no? I know you're going to say yes. So it's all yeses, right? Advertising works. That's why companies spend billions and billions on advertising. Okay. Oh, just on that point, have you noticed that so many advertisements are not about facts, they're about feelings? So, for example, when you see an advert on shampoo, okay, most of the time it's slow motion, a lady with long hair flapping behind her, and it's all about feel great, feel refreshed, you know. It's like, or shower gel. It doesn't talk about how it gets rid of germs. It talks about how it makes you feel refreshed, it feel clean, you know, whatever, feel. And so everything's about feelings, right? How you feel, because people buy with emotion and they justify with logic, all right? So you've got to create an ad campaign. So what that means is now you start thinking like, what images can I get to represent my goal? You know, if your goal is debt freedom, what does that look like? Maybe it's a check with the amount of debt that you've got written on it, stuck on your fridge. That's an advertising campaign. Maybe it is the car you want, the house you want, you know, the income, the amount that you'd like to make as a bonus, and you put it on a check or something. Maybe it's just something written on a piece of paper stuck on the wall. In fact, stuck in many places, because advertising, they don't just stick it just on one billboard. And Chan, thank you for that. It's like a vision board, right? A vision board is basically an advertising campaign to yourself. However, I'll touch on vision boards in a minute. So you've got this campaign. Now you start seeing it all the time. It starts to become a normal part of your life. Now, on the case of vision boards, for example, vision boards are great. And if you haven't got one, get something like that. You know, put up pictures of where you want to be, your house. And I always think of vision boards as they're the kind of ultimate goals board, right? And that's a good thing to do. So you create this advertising, and then you've got kind of the, you know, smaller ads, you know, if you like, all right? One of the things you also want to do, and again, there's another little tip, is that you because you want to read your goals every single day, twice a day, what I do is on my phone, I have an alarm that pops up every single day, once in the morning, once before bed, and it says, read goals. And I've been very clever, because I like to do good time management. So what I did is I used to then go to my app or go to my book or go to whatever and try and read my goals. So what I did, I thought that's just too much time, you know, and what if I haven't got the book, or what if whatever, you know. So I decided what I would do is I would write my goal statement within my reminder. So now it reminds me, and it's actually got the goal statement within the reminder. Set an alarm, read your goals, again, out loud, okay? And again, you're probably going to feel a bit stupid, but don't worry about it. Just do it, because you won't feel stupid once you've achieved your goals, I promise you. Okay, so set an alarm. Another thing you've got to do with your goals, and this is, again, another real skill. Oh, yeah, Jan just said, on the phone, laptop, iPad, wall, and behind the toilet door. Yeah, behind the toilet door is always a really good one, actually. Or on the mirror where you shave in the morning, or where you do your makeup, or whatever it is. You know, somewhere you're going to see it. I mean, don't put it kind of on the back of a door that always stays open. That's not the way to do it. I used to always have it on the back of my front door, so that before I left the house, it was the last thing I saw when I left. So that was always good. And then, of course, next to my bed, so it was the last thing I saw when I went to sleep, and it was the first thing I saw when I woke up. So again, whatever works for you, but they're certainly good ones. Okay. The other thing you've got to do is, you know, think about a vision board. You've got to be able to focus on the right things, right? Now, this is the problem with vision boards. Often what happens is people have got these things up on their vision board, and they're looking into the distance, and it's like, wow, I really can't wait to get that mansion, or that £1 million yacht, or that, you know, whatever it is. And it's usually a big thing, you know, and they just believe and hope and trust that it's all going to work out one day. Great that they're optimistic, and you know, they go to seminars and they get told how you can do it. Just believe it, believe, and get excited and pumped up and, hey, come and pay for my course and I'll help you get it. Do you know, unfortunately, look, there are some great seminars out there and there are some really bad seminars out there. There are some really eloquent people that don't deliver what you need. And there are some really less eloquent people that are amazing. So you've just got to understand when you go to those things, they're a sales pitch and there's nothing wrong with that. If what they're selling is what you want, then that's great. You know, buy it if you can afford it. Don't go into debt to buy it. And people will tell you, look, you know, put it on your credit card. You know, surely investing in yourself is more important than paying a bit of interest. Look, my view is different. Go find a way of earning the money. That's a CCMP. I really want to buy that course. Get a CCMP, earn the money, buy the course. And if you don't make any money, then hey, you just spent money you've already got. Hey, another lesson completely. So now you got your vision board there, right? And it's too many times you're focused on the vision board. Now, a vision board is amazing. It's a great thing to have, but it's the big goal. It's the distant goal. It's the ultimate goal, right? The dream house. Most people, they spend their lives looking at that vision board and go, wow, it's going to be so great when that happens. And they're 25 years old and they go, oh, it's going to be so great when that happens. And then 30 comes and they go, wow, it's going to be so great when that happens. And then they get to 35 and it's, by the way, this is what I did. I wish I knew the things I know now, you know, at 46 years old than you know, when I wish I knew it at 26 or 16, frankly. I have a 9-year-old who already knows this, you know, so I'm getting him started young, you know. Vision board is great. However, let me give you kind of a little analogy. So you've all got probably, well, many of you may have like Satnavs in your car if you have a car. And you've probably done this where you put the destination into your Satnav and, you know, it says fine and it calculates the route for you. And you just start driving along and you're following the route and you're thinking, and you get in this area which is a little bit less familiar and you start to not recognize things. You think, I'm sure this is not where I'm supposed to be because maybe you've been there before. And you start to question, did I put the right address into the sat-nav? You know, is that just me or has anybody else experienced that, right? You just think, hold on, let me just double check if I put the right postcode in, yeah? So in my car, I've got this little button, this zoom thing. So I zoom in, I zoom out and it zooms the map out so I can see the whole route. And then I go, oh, okay, it is the right place. I'm on track. I just, basically, it's taking me another route or rerouting because of traffic or whatever. Now, if I stay zoomed out to that big picture, what happens? I don't know where to go left and right anymore. I don't know where I am. I just kind of know it's somewhere in that general direction. But the problem is, most people stay looking at their vision board at the big picture and they never go back and zoom back in to the thing that they need to do to get them to the big picture. So you have to look at the big goal on a regular basis, but your focus, and get this, your focus should be on the next step. The distant goal, the big goal inspires you, but the focus is what you actually do. That's what drives it, okay? And this is why that CCMP, that distant goal, has to be connected with your emotion, because your emotion leads you to take action to do the thing you need to do, which gets you to, I'm terrible writing on here, results, right? Emotion leads to action, leads to results. So is that all making sense so far? So again, you know, hopefully you're kind of all with me on this. We haven't lost anyone, we've gained 2. So that's good. That's a good sign. Is that all making sense to you guys? Yeah. And if I have time, I'll do a little Q&A, but I don't know how we'll get through it. Anyway, so the next thing you do, okay, is you've got this advertising campaign. You're talking to yourself daily. You're reprogramming your mind. You're staying zoom in on the focus. So then what do you focus on? The focus then is on your next step, okay? That's a great question to ask. Whatever you do, whatever business is, what's my next step, okay? If you're a great coach, a great mentor, they love that question. As long as you go and do the next step and then come back and say, what's my next step? They really don't like it when you come back and say, what's my next step? And you say, it's the same step that I told you to do last week. The same step is the same step. get up the step, and then you go to the next one, right? So another tip, okay, is with your CCMPs, your goals, you share them with like-minded people. Don't share them with people that are going to rain on your parade. You know, the people are gonna, they're gonna be negative. And again, you've probably done this where you've got really excited about something, and you went to a friend, a family member, and you went, oh wow, you know, this is really great. I saw this thing, and I'm going to get involved in that, or I'm going to buy this, or whatever. And they go, oh really? I don't know. I mean, are you sure? That doesn't seem good. Oh, can you afford it? Is it going to work? Is it real? It's too good to be true. Whatever they say, right? You can probably relate to these kind of things. We've all experienced that, right? We've had that experience where someone says, this is what I'm excited about. And then somebody else went, oh, no, that's no good. It's amazing how everybody's an expert on things that they haven't seen, isn't it? It's amazing how people are experts on something that you saw, but they didn't, and they feel really qualified to give advice on that, right? Amazing. It's like the guy down the pub that says, oh, you don't want to pay for life insurance. That's, you know, waste of money, you know. And I remember I heard a story about this where someone said, this guy in the pub said, oh, why are you spending money on life insurance? You know, they never pay out, which isn't true. And he said, okay, no problem. Well, I'll tell you what, the company I'm with, I've got a policy. And I said, look, I'll tell you what. And he wrote down like £300,000 on a napkin or something. He handed it to the guy and said, so if I die, would you pay my family this money? And he went, well, no, of course not. He said, so yeah, well, they will. So, you know, it's all about perspective. Okay, so you share them with like-minded people. When I want to get a new car or whatever it is, I go to people I know and trust that I know I've got a like mindset, because they're the ones that when I go to my good friend Frank and I say, hey buddy, I'm thinking about getting this sports car or whatever. He doesn't say, oh, have you checked the insurance? Oh, are you sure? Because, you know, petrol's going to go up soon. Are you sure you can run it? He doesn't do that. He says, awesome, what color? Hey, let's go drive one, you know? And we have a conversation about how excited we are about each other's cars or something, you know? Holidays, cruises, whatever it is. So don't share them with people that are not going to share your enthusiasm about it. Don't get coaching from people that have got less information than you. Smart people get all the facts. They don't fill in the blanks with assumption. And it's not wisdom to listen to people without the facts. So, hey, get them to come and look if you want, but, you know, they've got to get the facts. All right. So that's another thing. Now, the next thing we talked about is you've got to have a strategy or a plan. So this is something you've got to, and again, it depends what you do to get this, because, again, every business is different. But the principles are the same. And so you've got to learn to break things down. So if you're selling something, if you are providing a service, you've got clients, if you are earning an income, whatever it is, you've got to figure out what are your resources, okay? What is your, again, this is where budgeting and stuff like this comes in, especially if it's a money related goal. So I'll use that as an example. So let's say you've got a budget, it's, you know, £2,000 a month is what you spend and you make 2,300. If you say, well, I want a goal to make £100,000 by next year or to save £100,000, well, that's not going to happen. It's not realistic. The key things, these things have to line up. Okay, so let's say you've got a financial goal, all right? Now, if you've got a salary, then you say, well, okay, how much is my surplus? And, you know, what do I do with that? How long is it going to take me? And again, it's a good idea to factor in inflation and stuff if it's a longer term goal as well, because, you know, don't save for the now price. You've got to save for the inflated price if it's over a period of time. Otherwise, you're always going to be short. So if it's a business or you're on commission or you're targeted or something like that, then it's a case of, okay, what do I get for my effort? You know, if you're in a JOB, if you're in a job, you're trading time for money. So you may say, well, the job I'm selling myself for, I'm trading 40 hours a week for X amount of thousand a month. Okay, I need another 1,000, so I either need to get another job, trade more time, or I need to find another way of leveraging time to make more money. Okay, so that's kind of the basics, right? The next thing, though, is when you're doing those leveraging, so like in our business, for example, we know our numbers, okay? Our business is what's called freakishly predictable. It's regulated, it's professional, it's predictable, it's simple, it's duplicatable, and so it's easy to plan. So for me, you know, I had a discussion with one of my team recently. I said, okay, so how much money do you want to make in this month? Because it's all about their goals, of course. And they said, well, I want to make like 2,000 a month. So great, okay, so this is what's going to take. And then we kind of worked it out based on, you know, the rate of pay that they're at, the time they have, the time frame, etc. Because you got to factor in all these things. And you know, we kind of worked out that she needed to do like 9 appointments or 9 clients, and then it was simply, okay, so now you know it's 9 gets you this, because these are the close ratios. It's super predictable. This is the average per client. So now you know your numbers. Okay, now you know you're going to do 9. So then you just got to say, well, where do I get the 9 from? And you know, in your business, it might be you need 9 new customers a month to get you this, or 3 new customers a month gets you that extra revenue, which gets you enough to get your goal. One of the big mistakes people make often when they make more money is they change their lifestyle immediately. One of the keys to financial success, and again, this is kind of another specialist area that we work in, is that, you know, you've got to live within your means, become debt-free, reduce your outgoings and increase your income, and then plan for expenses, plan for goals, plan for holidays, plan for cars, etc. Don't go into debt to buy stuff, because debt typically costs you more. And again, I know there's an argument about good debt and bad debt, and I get that, but generally in personal finance, debt is not so good. So is this all making sense? And I kind of feel like I'm really going fast paced now. So again, let me see some feedback, chat, yes, no, hand raises, whatever. All right. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So, all right. So now we got a plan. So whatever your business is, you've got to kind of break it down. One of the key things is you have to understand that the numbers are the numbers, okay? If you measure something long enough, a pattern emerges and it becomes predictable. And if it's predictable, then you can plan. So, you know, when I used to work in the motor industry, and so we kind of knew that for every advert that we placed, we would get this many calls. And for every call, or for every so many calls, an appointment would be made. And for every appointment was made, somebody would show up. And for every person that showed up, somebody would buy a car. And then you do your average profit per unit. And so you could work out, you know, your average commission. You could work out your average salary. You could work out your average overheads. I mean, you know, all that stuff is predictable. In our business, it's kind of similar. You know, we don't have big overheads, but we have big profits, big income, and you know, it's really, really predictable. So it's quite easy for us to plan. Okay. So again, without sitting down with someone specifically on their own business, hard to get into too much detail on that, but you have to have this bit in place. And, you know, if you struggle with it, sit down with somebody that can help you, you know, that hopefully has got the same goal, same vision as you, and do that. The next thing, again, we talked about is desire. Now, this is so key. Your desire is what drives everything. You need this thing called a burning desire. It drives you. It consumes you. So, for example, you know, we talked earlier about connecting your goals with emotion. This is all connected to the desire part, right? So, if you don't do that, okay, let me kind of give you an example. Okay, we've got a few ladies on the call, and I can see Jan's on here. Jan likes shoes, okay, so let's use Jan as an example. So, let's say Jan's goal was to be debt-free, okay, and she just really wanted to be debt-free. Debt was tough. Now, I know that's not her goal, but for example, it was. She wants to be debt-free, and you know, she doesn't like being in debt. It feels bad. It's horrible. It's no freedom. It's constricting. It's depressing. It's not nice. And the goal is to become debt-free. And so how's that going to feel? So remember at the beginning, I said, how do you feel if you didn't achieve it? How do you feel if you did? Okay, how does that feel? Well, that would be amazing. If I became debt-free, it would be amazing. Well, what would it mean to you if you became debt-free? Well, I could buy more stuff for my family. I could go on more holidays. I could drive a nice car. What kind of car? What kind of holiday? And so on. So you dig deeper. What does debt freedom mean to you? How does it feel? You know, I remember for me, I'm a dad. I got a 9-year-old. I love doing cool stuff for my little boy, right? So one time I decided to buy him this kind of bedroom set. It was all cool with LED lights under the bed, and it was awesome. And I remember, you know, I did this kind of big reveal thing, you know, where you open the door and he comes in and it's like, you know, one of these shows on TV. And it's like, here's your room, son. And I remember he kind of walked into the room and he went, oh, and he kind of walked around again and like, oh, and he went, awesome. And I remember how I felt when he said that. I felt awesome. And it was like, wow, I like how this feels. I want to do this again, because emotion leads to action, leads to results. And sometimes a negative emotion causes you to take action because you get angry about something and you decide to go do it to prove people wrong. But then positive emotion drives you to do stuff because you're excited and you love doing it and it felt good. So you wanted to do it again. And this is how you create momentum. Again, a whole nother lesson, but gosh, there's so much to pack in. So now let's say that's Jan's goal. Okay. She's got a little boy, who really wants a bedroom set, and, you know, she knows how it feels, or he really wants something and she knows how it feels when she gives them a goal, gives them this reward or whatever it is. And so now she's out shopping and she sees some nice black shoes and she says, oh yeah, I need some black shoes. And again, some of you can relate to this. Oh, I need some black shoes. Or with guys, it's gadgets. Oh, I need a new 4K TV. I need a new phone, whatever. We need gadgets or trainers or something. Now, what we do is we say we need it. Now, Jan's got 5 pairs of black shoes at home, okay? So she doesn't need black shoes. She just wants black shoes. Now, and what she does is she wants to buy with emotion, but then she justifies with logic because she says, no, but I need black shoes. I've got black shoes at home, but not like these black shoes. These black shoes would go perfectly with this dress. Now, is it true? If she didn't see those black shoes, she'd have worn other black shoes, right? Would you agree with that? She'd have worn other shoes. Of course she would, because she didn't know about those black shoes. So what happens is, now, the decision she makes, whether she buys those shoes or not, is completely connected to how emotionally engaged she is to achieving her goal. So if the goal in her case was debt freedom, she knows how debt freedom feels. She knows she wants it. She knows she's really focused and she's got massive desire to achieve it. If she doesn't have that, she buys the shoes. And she's one step further away from achieving her goal of debt freedom. But if her emotion is so engaged in her debt freedom goal, then what she does is she says, I really want those shoes, but I want debt freedom more. And that's the question is, you get choices every single day. Do you want to take that choice? Does it take you further from your goal, or does it take you closer to your goal? That's a great way of filtering stuff. Hey, I really want to go out on the weekend. Yeah, but I'm saving for a holiday. Yeah, but you know, I can stick it on my credit card. No, just don't go out and put the money, save for the holiday. It's just discipline is the key. You got to weigh your future goals against your immediate gratification, your immediate pleasure versus future goals. And this is why connecting with emotion is so, so important. So I'm kind of conscious we're running out of time, but work your plan, stay focused. Another key thing is you just got to stay positive. Now, saying your goals out loud every day, sharing them with like-minded people will help you stay positive. But there'll be some times when stuff happens. There'll be some times when you have challenges. And, you know, I know for me, you know, I had a challenge, you know, where it was a tough challenge, emotionally draining challenge last year. And I shared it with my team, not for pity, but I shared it to say, look, it doesn't matter what your challenge is, whether it's health, whether it's money, whether it's relationship, whatever it is, okay, whatever your challenge is, it's first of all, number one, it's easier when there's money in the bank, okay? So if you're doing something that's making you money and you've got a relationship challenge, don't just stop going to work because you've got a relationship challenge. Just keep doing the thing that makes you the money, because I promise you it's a lot worse when you've got a relationship problem and debt problem, or health problem and debt problem. It's a lot worse. So don't create another problem for yourself because you're upset about something, right? You've got to kind of compartmentalize a little bit, okay? So stay positive. So what you always have to do is reframe everything. And it's a thing called reframing. So you always look for the positive in something. So for example, you know, I had a challenge where, you know, I had to travel to court in another country for, you know, just some family related thing, and it was a pain, and it was a long drive, and it's inconvenient. I had to do it like loads of times. So it was like, well, we can be really negative about this situation, or I can say, well, how can we reframe this to the positive? So all we did is we'd make sure that we'd go over a little bit early, come back a little bit later than our meeting, and then go and visit some places and be tourists and make it a positive experience rather than a negative experience. That's a choice. Every time something comes up, you've got to ask yourself, how do I reframe this to the positive? How can I look at this from another perspective? And for me, you know, I have a particular belief that you know, things work together ultimately for me. And I believe that. And I was saying to my team and to my partner the other day that I don't remember the last time we didn't achieve our goals. You know, coincidentally, in about 3 weeks, we just about to achieve another huge goal that has been a goal from us for about a year now, and really excited about it. But it's just become normal for us to achieve goals because and this is all it is, guys, is we apply these exact principles. This is not to sell you a book on goal setting or to sign you up to goal setting mentorship. Don't want any money from you. But I just know that the world is a better place when people are achieving their goals and helping others do that. So you've got to stay positive. And then the key with any habit is you have to practice it, and keep repeating it. And then it becomes a way of life. I remember when we first started reframing, it was hard at first, and you have a moan about something, and that's what you were used to. And normally when you have a moan, misery loves company. So you moan and they go, oh, I know. You go, oh, did you see that? That was really bad, and it's not very good for us, is it? I know, it's really bad, isn't it? Well, we just decided we're not doing that anymore. So we said, from now on, when any of us do that negative thing, what we do, pull us up on it. I give you permission to stop me and say, hey, what is it, you know, what is the positive in this? Where can we find a positive? How can we reframe that? Was kind of a common phrase in our home. So you got to think, how do I do that? How do I reframe? It's really, really key. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any questions on that? Okay. So first of all, again, anybody got anything? I mean, I could probably take 2 or 3 quick questions, and that guys, that's really it. I mean, you know, you got to think it, talk it, do it. That's something you want to write down. Think it, talk it, do it. You ask my 9-year-old, think it, he says, talk it, do it. Think it, that's how you build that vision in your mind. So you build it once in your mind, you build it once on paper, and then you build it, okay, as someone once said. So, you know, now for some of you on here, okay, we've got kind of nearly 50 people on. So, you know, great job, guys, and really happy you kind of took the time this kind of late night to listen to this. I hope you found it valuable. What I would say this is, look, you know, people have kind of been private messaging me and saying, well, what is it you do? You know, and again, this is not really about that. You know, I just wanted to kind of give something today. But what I will say is this, is if you have a business and what you're doing is really, really working for you, if you're making the money you want, if you've got the time freedom you want, if you're getting the results you want, if you're getting the satisfaction you want, you know, if you're getting to have these goals, right, and achieve them, or certainly be on your way, then that's great. You know, don't change anything. But, you know, with earning money, people will tell you earning money is the key to financial freedom, and it's not the truth. It's true, but it's not the truth. And so, okay, so what do I mean by that? We all know people that made millions, right? You know, celebrities and sports stars and actors and rappers and what have you. They made millions, you know, and then they declare bankruptcy. Then they're broke. You know, people that used to be on TV and you see them on a documentary about actors on the dole, you know, and so it's like, well, how did they make all this money, these hundreds of millions sometimes, and then become broke? Well, the key thing is it's not what you earn, it's what you keep that counts. You see, you can earn loads, but if you do all the wrong things, it doesn't matter. You're going to make dumb choices, and you're going to end up not in the situation you want to be. You've got to have a level of financial intelligence, okay? And so what we do in our business is we give people financial intelligence. We teach them how money works and how to become debt-free, financially independent, how to make their money working for them. We do something called a financial game plan, which kind of just shows people how to get from where they are to where they want to be. gives them really a CCMP and then breaks down a strategy for them. We don't actually even charge any money for that. It's hugely valuable. So again, if you have an interest in finding out about that, again, certainly speak to me. Now, for some of you, you're in a business that's working, that's great. For some of you are doing something and a job or a business and it's not working. It's not getting you the money that you need. It's not getting you the goals. It's not giving you the satisfaction. I mean, you thought it would, but it didn't, or it hasn't. Well, for you guys, I would say, well, maybe you need to look at something different. Maybe you need to, there comes a point that you say, well, this one isn't really working well for me. Maybe I've got to try different. Sometimes it's the people you're involved with. They can be great, but they're just not great strategists, or they don't have that level of personal development. Sometimes you got some people that are so great at personal development, but they're not doers. They can tell you everything. They've read all the books, but they're not action takers, and so they don't apply the strategy. They can tell you all the theory, but they're not action. And you see, think it, talk it is only a part of the process. There's too many people that think it and talk it. People position themselves as experts, and they say, oh, I'm an expert at this. You should listen to me. Look, let me just say something. I'm not an expert in goal setting. I'm just a normal guy that learned some principles and apply them on a daily basis. That's just what I do. So if this helps you, awesome, happy with that. But if you're looking for a different opportunity, then maybe come and have a talk to us and find out if maybe our opportunity is right for you. And like I said before, smart people get all the facts. They don't fill in the blanks with assumption. I'm really conscious of time at the moment. So when this is finished, you should get an email that kind of says, hey, if you've got an interest in finding out more about game plans or financial education or, what we do, then you're more than welcome to just reply to that. Again, if you don't get one for whatever reason, I only set the system up the other day, so hopefully it will work. But if it doesn't, hey, feel free to just respond to the email that you got to kind of get in touch, and we'll go from there. I appreciate some of you are tired right now, but I just wanted to, would you like me to answer a couple of questions? Does anybody have any questions you'd like me to answer for you? I mean, it may be that I've just given you loads of information and you kind of got notepads full. If you do, then, by all means, just kind of write up the question and I'm happy to answer it. If not, I'll give you kind of a minute or so, then, I'll kind of let you all go to bed. How do you motivate someone? Okay, Sam, that is a great question. How do you motivate someone? So how do you motivate yourself? Okay, so it really starts with you. So how do you stay motivated? Well, this is the key. Well, if you are connected emotionally with your goals, okay, and think about the word emotion, right? Kind of motivate is in there, right? So it's about motivating yourself with emotion, because emotion drives you to take action. You got to get down deep into someone's goals. So, for example, Sam, obviously I know what you do. So in your business, it's about really digging down into what someone's goals are, and really kind of, we do this kind of to a degree, but you've got to do it more. You've got to dig down and you've got to engage them emotionally. I find that the way I motivate my team is, first of all, I decide that I'm going to believe in them. That's number one. I decide I'm going to believe in them. I believe they can achieve whatever goal they want to set out. And I also commit that if they will do their part and they will take action, I will do everything I can do to help them do that. I'm not going to do it for them, because part of what you earn is pride when you achieve something. So there's no point in me saying, hey, here it is on a plate for you. No, you have to achieve it. But the way I motivate people is I constantly remind them of the reason they started doing what they're doing in the first place. Why did you start doing this? Do those reasons still exist now? If they do, then you need to do something different. Okay, so and again, just kind of like I did at the beginning, really, ask questions like, if you don't achieve those goals, how are you going to feel? Maybe get them to write it down. Well, rubbish, crap, annoyed, frustrated, angry. And if you do achieve them, how are you going to feel? Amazing, ecstatic, awesome. Okay, so which way do you want to feel? You get the choice. Everything is about choice. The choice of of failure, the choice of success, the choice of action, the choice of inaction, the pain of work, or the pain of regret. You get those choices. And so I think the best way to motivate people, particularly in an organization where it's based on leadership rather than management. Management, I just tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, I sack you. I'm an organizer. Leaders are about inspiring people to take action, and they don't work for you. And by the way, even if you've got employees, I've got to tell you, your employees don't work for you. I hear people who are employers say, oh, I've got 20 people that work for me. No, they don't work for you. They actually work for themselves. They come to your place because you pay them money for doing it, but they're working for themselves, their goals. And that's why, like I said at the beginning, I didn't even tell my team my goals for the year, for our team goals. I said, don't worry about them. I don't want you working for me and my goals. I want to work for you and your goals, and I want you to work for your goals. It's a small change, but it made a massive impact. This year, we did more business in the first 6 months than we did the entire year last year, and that's just continued throughout the year. We've already had a record-breaking year before we even kind of get past 6 months, and we had a pretty good year last year, but this year we're on track to double, probably triple what we did last year. Certainly, the achievement has been magnificent, and I'm more energized. And by the way, when you achieve your goals, you get this thing called energy. You get energized by the sense of achievement. Now, I've been doing what I do now for about 10 years, and I am more excited about it now than I was 10 years ago, because it's just so much fun when you see people develop, when you see people grow, when you see people achieve their goals. And, I remember somebody asked me about my team. They said, come on, tell me about your team. Tell me about your business. What do you like, And I said, well, I kind of thought about it and said, well, what do we like? Okay, we're a community of like-minded people who are passionate about helping each other achieve our goals and dreams in reality. Not on a vision board, not in our minds, but in reality. That's what we do. We just happen to have a great vehicle to allow us to do that. You can do it with another vehicle. Ours just happens to work really, really well. So hopefully that answers your question, Sam. I know it's probably a long-winded answer, but once I get going. One more question, if there is one. If not, I'm going to let you all go to bed. But for me, I've actually got another webinar with one of my teams, so I'm okay. All right. Last question. Thank you, Joy. Appreciate that. So, all right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming out tonight and staying so late. Please do give us feedback. I'm happy for you to contact me, email me, whatever, Google me, Facebook me. I'm pretty accessible, my website, OWBRIDGE.com, OWBRIDGE.com. I'm there too, but to be fair, Facebook's probably easiest. Yeah, hopefully you got something. Please post on my Facebook page, post some feedback, maybe even list some points that you got, so we can share it with other people as well. And yeah, also, if there's anything else that you think you'd like, again, we talked a little about a balanced life. So maybe you think, well, hey, we wouldn't mind, a webinar on that. I mean, again, I'm happy to do more of these because I enjoy it. And some of my team come on too, and they get to hear kind of an expanded version of something that I may have touched on. So thanks for coming out. Really appreciate you guys. And the next step for you guys is to take action. Reread your notes and take action. Have an awesome, awesome week. And hopefully I'll bump into some of you through seminars that we do. Oh, Change Your Financial Life seminar we do on Monday evening in London Bridge. If you want to come along, if you haven't been already, you're welcome to come along, and we'll teach you some other cool stuff as well. Take care now. Bye-bye.